Dead Island 2 is full of zombies, so obviously to be able to succeed within the game, then you need to know how to survive within the game and make sure that those zombies don't kill you. And in this video, we'll be doing a complete Dead Island 2 survival guide, going over how you need to survive within Dead Island 2. We'll go over the zombies within the game, we'll look at the weapons within the game and how you can upgrade those weapons, we'll look at certain skills that you should be using within the game, and we'll also look at certain ways you can defend yourself within combat. So we'll cover all of that in this video. So basically, yeah, an ultimate survival guide to Dead Island 2. So let's waste no more time and let's get straight into the video. So to start things off, let's talk about zombies. Now, interestingly, some of these zombies were actually seen within previous Dead Island games. You can see some of these zombies within Dead Island 1 and Dead Island Riptide, and we can also find them within Dead Island 2. But some of these, of course, are brand new with the arrival of Dead Island 2. If you go into the game, you can see some new zombies, and some of them are from the older games. So yeah, a bit of variety there. First of all, I'll list all of the zombies available within Dead Island 2. Butchers, crawlers, crushers, grabbers, joggers, runners, screamers, shamblers, slobbers, suiciders, walkers, but we're going to focus in on about 6 of these types of zombies. So the first type of zombie within Dead Island 2 that we'll be looking at go by the name of butchers. So butchers are essentially a faster, stronger version of the infected. They have the speed, sight, and rapid attacks of the infected, as well as roaring before attacking. They slash with their exposed forearm bones. Their quick attacks making them difficult to fight with melee weapons, essentially making them an infected that has mutated into a killing machine. Attacking them from a distance with guns or thrown weapons is an effective way of killing them. Butchers have longer reach than their models may indicate, and can successfully attack from a range that would normally require them to be wielding a long weapon to reach. They appear in groups of infected or walkers, but that is rare since butchers seem to like to work alone most of the time. So that's a good overview there of butchers within Dead Island 2. So now let's actually look at suiciders. So suiciders are creatures trapped in a disfigured pulsing form. How they mutated and having their skin grown into this is actually unknown, but the only real reason this could happen is because of survivors who suffered from diseases, other viruses, cancer, or accidentally getting into contact with some kind of radiation. They retain a semblance of awareness, even though their instincts drive them to get close to an uninfected survivor and attack them with a self-destructive suicidal explosion, as their name says. Suiciders are first encountered on the beach during the quest Black Hawk Dawn, where one stumbles out from behind some foliage close to the helicopter that crashed, groaning for help to lure the heroes into a trap. It's also worth noting that within Dead Island 2, they're actually faster than in the previous titles, definitely something that's worth considering when they are nearby. So next we'll have a quick look at crushers. So crushers are the definition of a bruiser, tanky while also sporting good damage. Their only downside is their slowness and limitation to melee combat. They will throw strong punches and are even capable of jumping at the player. Breaking or cutting off their limbs will prevent them from throwing punches, something worth noting there, and that's an easy way to deal with them. So whilst they may seem like a pretty powerful zombie and pretty hard to deal with, they're really not, and it's pretty simple to take them out. So next up is slobbers. So slobbers behave very similar to floaters in that they expel acid from their mouth to attack you and are swollen up in appearance. So finally we'll look at runners. Runners, unlike the infected, are survivors who are slowly turning into shamblers. Runners are fast versions of walkers that will attack with their speed in combat, so pretty simple stuff there about runners. They're basically just really fast standard zombies. So there you go, that's a quick overview about zombies within Dead Island 2. Now I have done a video doing a complete guide to all the Dead Island 2 zombies, going over absolutely everything we know about them. I think that video will be at the end of this video and in the description below. But yeah, that is a quick overview of the main zombies within Dead Island 2. Some of those obviously parts of previous games, but some of them are brand new. So now let's talk about weapons. Now with Dead Island 2, the main weapons that you should use and should focus on upgrading are the melee weapons. It's been said by the Dead Island 2 developers that the main weapons and more powerful weapons in the game and the main focus is the melee weapons, and that firearms are there for those that really want to use them, but they aren't the good weapons in the game. The melee weapons are the best weapons and the more powerful weapons and the weapons that the game was designed for. So unless you really want to use firearms within the game, that's something you really want to do, and you know that's the only option that you're going to choose to use, then of course by all means use the firearm weapons, but it is going to be a more challenging experience, and yeah, the melee weapons just are the better option and they are more powerful, so it really is worth picking the melee weapons over the firearms. Now when it comes to the best weapons within Dead Island 2, there isn't really a best weapon. I mean, first of all, there are so many different weapons. I mean, you've got baseball bats, you've got war clubs, you've got hammers, you've got katanas, sledgehammers, shotguns, you know, you've got all sorts and loads of different types of weapons. weapons and loads of different melee weapons. There's so many that you can choose from, but the idea is that you just choose weapons that are a decent level and also a decent rarity, and then you just upgrade them from there. Now, there is the possibility that when you find these weapons, they've already got a couple upgrades on them, which is great. That's definitely a good thing, and then just continue to upgrade them until, you can no longer upgrade that weapon. It just, that is how it should be done, and that's just going to be the best way moving forward when it comes to upgrading your weapons and the weapons that you should use within Dead Island 2. Use the weapons that you like, use the weapons that feel good to use, and just focus on upgrading those weapons. And of course, eventually, those will probably become outdated within the game as you get further through and progress more. Then you'll just pick out new weapons, purchase new weapons, purchase the new upgrades, and it will just work like that. Most upgrades are purchased. You do have to purchase these upgrades with the in-game currency. Some of them are through collecting certain parts, but generally speaking, it tends to either be a mix of the two, or you do just have to purchase the upgrade for the weapon. It does depend on the weapon. And it is also worth noting that not all weapons have upgrades. There are a couple weapons, such as the knife, I believe, within Dead Island 2 that do not have upgrades, but just something worth noting. But basically, pick out the weapons you enjoy that feel good and that are obviously a decent level, and then upgrade those weapons as you progress through the game. So now let's talk about health. Now, within Dead Island 2, you do have a health bar. This is displayed on your screen. This is just through the standard game UI, and this is in the top left of your screen. And obviously, you want to keep this health high. You want to make sure that you're never low on health, just so, that you're making sure that you survive. And one of the best ways to heal within the game is by using medkits, and that's been the same through Dead Island 1 and Dead Island Riptide, and it's the same with Dead Island 2. Now, medkits are used for one sole purpose, which is rapid on-demand healing. Upon pressing the corresponding button within Dead Island 2 to use the medkit, you will use the medkit to inject yourself, healing a certain number of chunks of your health bar, depending on the size of the medkit. A small medkit heals 1 chunk, a medium medkit heals 3 chunks, and a large medkit heals 5 chunks, and it takes roughly 5 seconds to use a medkit, during which you are defenseless and unable to attack, though you can still sprint or dodge. Medkits are also used to revive or heal other players within the game when you are playing in co-op, so going up to a downed player and pressing revive on them will use a medkit and gets the player back on their feet. So it's worth noting that you should definitely have those at all times, and they are very common to find within the game and scattered all over the place within the world of Dead Island 2. So now let's move on to skills within Dead Island 2. Now, skills are split into 5 distinct classes which focus on different things. So first, there is innate skills. Innate skills are skills that are unique to a single slayer. They usually designate their playstyle or highlight their specialized skills, and they can't be used by other slayers. Then there is ability. Ability cards are skills that grants the slayer additional movement or attack options. By applying these skill cards, the slayer can do things like block incoming attacks or dodge them. Then there is survivor skills. Now, survivor skill cards are cards that focus on increasing the health or healing of the slayer. Their main focus is to keep the slayer alive and help them get through alive. Then there is slayer. Now, slayer cards are cards designed for offense. They either impart bonuses for certain actions, such as cutting off limbs or getting headshots. Then finally, there is Newman. Newman cards are the final type of skill card available, and they focus on the more zombie abilities. These skills allow the slayer to utilize various zombie-based attacks, such as spitting acid. Now, innate skills are actually separated depending on the character that you are using. So remember, there are 6 playable protagonists within the game. I've done a complete guide to those. Links to that videos in the description, but they all have separate innate skills. So critical gains and feral is for Jacob. Then there is divide and conquer and relief and picture, which are for Amy. Then there is retaliation and seesaw, which is for Ryan. Then there is bloodlust and also thunderstruck for Danny. Then there is big deep and mosh pits for Carla. And then finally, there is backstab and rapid reprisal for Bruno. So when it comes to abilities, there are 2 abilities. There's the dash strike and the dodge, and you can only pick one of these. So personally, I would say probably the dodge is the better one to go for here, but of course, when you get in game, you can decide for yourself. So a lot of that is really down to this type of combats that you are going to be playing. Your style of combat within Dead Island 2 is really, going to decide which skills you should use and the character that you should be using within Dead Island 2 as well. Of course, personal preference is there as well, but yeah, your combat style and the way you play the game is really going to change which abilities and which skills you choose to use within Dead Island 2. And there we go. That does just about wrap up things here. That was an ultimate survival guide to Dead Island 2, going over zombies within Dead Island 2, going over weapons and how you can upgrade them, going over how health works and the best ways to heal yourself within the game. Then we looked at skills and abilities within Dead Island 2 as well, to give you the best chances of surviving the game and making sure that those zombies don't take you out. So yeah, hopefully now you'll definitely be surviving throughout your entire playthrough. So yeah, like I mentioned, that does just about wrap up things here. Now, like I previously mentioned, I've done a video doing a complete guide to the zombies within Dead Island 2 and absolutely everything we know about all of the zombies. A link to that video is on the screen now if you are interested in watching it.